This section is on Plato. Plato, coming right after Socrates, lived at the time of Socrates, and Socrates was at least one of Plato's teachers. Plato admired Socrates a great deal. So let's see more about who Plato was. He was a member of one of the most elite families in Athens, uh, a real blue blood. His real name was Aristocles, which means something similar to the best. Um, Plato was the nickname he acquired, and it means broad, and it's not certain whether he was broad in his forehead, that's a possibility, or in his shoulders. He was supposed to be good at just about everything he ever did, and he was an exceptional athlete. So maybe he had big, strong shoulders. As I said, he admired Socrates and was not happy when he witnessed Athenian democracy execute his teacher. Uh, so he saw that democracy was not the ideal form of government, and he was interested in what would the ideal form of government be, and what would the ideal form of the governed be. So the democracy he thought of as a mob. Well, they were a murderous mob who killed his teacher, in his view. But he wasn't just um, going with the aristocracy either, even though he came from such an elite background. There were the 30, which was a group of aristocratic rulers of Athens, and he saw that they were imperfect as well. So, what could the best form of government be if it wasn't these two? Seemingly, if it wasn't the left or the right, as we might look at it today. So he devoted possibly the most read work of Western philosophy, his Republic, to investigating, among other things, what is the best form of government. That, so the Republic is one of his dialogues. It's a very long dialogue compared to some of them. So we know he thought about the government. What else did he think about? Well, he was a dualistic thinker. He thought there were two kinds of things. There was matter, like the stone you can kick around on the ground, and then there were the forms. And the forms were the basis of the matter of things. Each thing had its corresponding form, and the forms existed in a different realm than the physical world. And a form was what that thing essentially was. In his dialogues, he attempted to refute the relativism of the group of thinkers known as the Sophists. Uh, Um, as the textbook says, relativism has been a challenge to much of philosophy for a long time. Um, and in his dialogues, to try to refute the relativism of the sophists, he used his own characterizations of Socrates. So we have what is sometimes called Plato's Socrates, because it's not something Socrates wrote. I don't believe there's anything known to have survived if Socrates did ever write anything down. What we have is Plato using Socrates as a dialogic figure to pose arguments, um, oppose arguments, and it's more subtle than just Socrates in the dialogue is speaking Plato's opinion. So we can't just assume that if Socrates says it, Plato believed it too. So in the copy of Plato's dialogues I have, which is edited by a man named Jowett, um, the Republic is the last dialogue, and it takes up almost an entire book. Um, it's a two-volume copy of his dialogues, and the Republic is one of only two or three dialogues in it. It's divided into many they're called books, and he deals with just about every aspect of his thought. So, um, topics that were covered in, say, the Sophist or the Symposium or Gorgias, um, or others, Phaedo, were covered in the Republic as well in some way. I have not read the whole thing. Plato founded what was called the Academy, and if any of you are Guns N' Roses fans or familiar with their Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2 albums, the album covers use art from Plato that is supposed to represent Plato's Academy. It's on the cover of your textbook. Um, so before he founded his academy, Plato wandered for 12 years. Um, kind of maybe doing what Socrates did, talking to people, seeing what people thought, how they thought, maybe doing some research for his question of his quest to discover um, the best form of government and the best form of citizenry. So he did found his academy at about the age of 40, and there is evidence that women studied alongside the men, um, not in equal number, but that there were at least one or two women at the academy. And not much is known about exactly how it was run or what was taught or how it was taught or how women were regarded. What were they really regarded as equals? There's not much we know about that. We do know, going back to Plato's thought on matter and forms and his dualism, Plato thought that there was appearance versus knowledge. So we can imagine him teaching people about the forms and about knowledge. Now, knowledge for Plato was knowledge of the forms, knowledge of what things were essentially, what they really were, not what they seemed to be. As opposed to knowledge, appearance and opinion were based on matter. So, we'll get to a further difference between the forms and matter and knowledge and opinion. The material world contained imperfect imitations of the forms. So the forms were kind of like blueprints that said what a horse was or what a person was. And to wrap up this short lecture, reality, what was real was the eternal, and the eternal was the true. So the true was what was real. Now, whatever changed, Plato thought, could not be true. So, say a river flowing, or paper burning, or a person aging, or um, water uh, freezing, maybe, or boiling. All these things involve change, and so they cannot hold truth. There's being and there's becoming, and if it changes at all, it's becoming. Now, being is a static thing for Plato, and the forms are static. They don't change ever at all. So they are what was true. Knowledge of them was truth. Becoming was not truth. So I hope that this short lecture has inspired you to read more about Plato. He is possibly the most influential philosopher in Western philosophical history. It was said by Alfred North Whitehead that who was a 20th century philosopher, uh, uh, that all philosophy, all Western philosophy has been footnotes to Plato. That's how influential he's believed by some, or and was believed uh, to be. How influential he was believed to be. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing your discussion posts about Plato. So thank you very much.